Welcome to Season 5 of Pants Around Ankles Prevention, where my mission is to help you keep your pants securely buckled and avoid that unexpected, awkward, and embarrassing moment when you realize suddenly that they're not. This season, we're going to do things a little differently with Shorts Around Ankles Prevention. Quick, power-packed episodes designed to deliver a punch of truth to help you wake up to a new perspective. Let's see what today's short has in store. Do it again. I would hope that I do not have to convince you of the importance of reading. So reading can not only be a source of enjoyment, but by reading you can learn new things, become better educated, and I don't want to diminish either of these things. But there is another important thing that reading can do for you. It can stimulate your thinking. Something you read may not be new, but it may be presented in a new way, and as a result, it resonates with you differently and stimulates your thinking in a new and important direction. Indeed, one of the primary sources of writer's block is a lack of reading. It may be surprising, but when I start reading or rereading, all of a sudden ideas about what I need to write appear. I'm no longer surprised by that. Generally speaking, though, I've tended to read a book once and then not read it again. And I mentioned in a previous episode that I think the book Awareness by Anthony DeMello is a great example of a book that should be read yearly. And it's been more than a year for me. I've got a couple of purely religious or spiritual books that I certainly have read multiple times, but rereading great books has not been my practice, and I think maybe it should be. Generally, I'm always looking for that something I've not read before. But if you're growing, if you're waking up, then reading a good book a second time can often be like you're reading it anew. You discover things you missed the first time through, and of course, you get reminded of other things that you might have read the first time, but they somehow didn't sink in and stay with you. What to read, how to pick. So I fully support the idea that if you want to get better at business, then there's value in reading business books. And if you want to get better at cooking, read books about cooking. But there's another avenue that is less often explored. Read fiction. One of the most helpful business books I've ever read was a novel about a fictitious character who was a pirate. I was reading it for enjoyment, but in the process, I got educated. So I find this approach especially helpful when I'm tired of seeing the business books or the cooking books. Here's a suggestion. The next time you want and need to read something, go to the library or a bookstore and then just browse. I can recall vividly going a long time ago to a bookstore in Westerville, Ohio, back in the early 1980s, looking for something to read, not knowing what it was. I just perused the titles for a while, and an individual book just sort of popped out and grabbed my attention, and I bought it. And it was perfect for me. It was a book that started a process that completely transformed who I was. My intellect didn't pick it. My intuition did. So I've since used this approach many other times in my life, and it is remarkably effective. By the way, I strongly recommend you read books, not listen to them. When listening to an audiobook, it's easy to become distracted and miss valuable content. So use your eyes, not your ears. So I have 3 suggestions of some books that were transformational for me that I'm glad to share with you, including the title of the book from back in Westerville. First, Creating Health by Deepak Chopra. Second, Frogs into Princes by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And third, Satsang, Satsang, Satsang with Baba, Volume 1, or Volumes 2 through 6, by editor. I think all three of those have been transformative to me. Maybe they will be for you too. Have a great day. If you'd like a deeper dive into this topic, consider subscribing to our newsletter, Waking Up, where we will explore it in even more detail. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. See you soon.